Whoa, Mike. What's going on, everyone? How you doing tonight? Welcome to another episode of VBA Live. It is Wednesday. It is 8 p.m. Eastern, and we are live on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. And for those of you that would prefer to listen to our wonderful voices, you can go ahead and subscribe to VBA Live as a podcast, or you can also see the video on Spotify by visiting anchor.fm/VBA-live. Prospect, how you doing tonight, man?
That was an epic intro. Let's just start with that. I mean, usually the intro is good, but you had that down. That was good.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
Very excited about the podcast version and everything else going out for us. But I'm doing good. I'm coming off a good week in VBA Live. Had a good weekend in like real life as well. Here we are. It's Wednesday. We're streaming.
What was so good in IRL?
I had my best friend since I was 2 years old got married this weekend, and I was the best man.
Wow.
I gave an epic speech, which actually Friday, the wedding was Saturday, and Friday night I had food poisoning.
Oh,
And
no.
I was up in the hotel room from 10:30 p.m. until like 5:30, maybe 6 a.m., like in the bathroom, just doing my thing. And I rallied so hard, and I had my Michael Jordan flu game the next day at the wedding. It was epic.
Bravo. That is impressive. That is very, very impressive.
Yeah, the best part was like all it took me that night was like 2 drinks and I was good for the night.
Gotta love it. Sometimes, that just funny how that stuff works out that way.
Definitely.
What was so good about your VBA week this past week?
I had a good week. It started, I was I think 7-0, and then I went 0-5, and then I won the last two. Does that math add up?
It
Maybe not.
might, but
Something
you
like
had, it sounds like a bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah, it was good. It was exciting. I was riding high. Let's see. I started 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7-0, and then I went 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, and then 0-5, and then I won two in a row. So I was riding high, and then I made some adjustments, and it didn't work out. I had some big losses, and then I adjusted, and I ended up in first. So it was fun. It was a good week.
Very, very exciting. I like adjustments. I like tweaking.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
experimenting. As you know, I mean, as a community, we are all still learning all about VBA and what
Absolutely.
we can do to make our teams better and what we think we can do to make our teams better, but ends up making our teams so much worse.
Yeah. What about you? How is your week last week for VBA? And how's the start of this week going?
So last week was beautiful. I was so happy with my team. I think we had a 9-game win streak,
Yeah.
held us up. We are now in competitive leagues, back in
Nice.
competitive. This will be overall through the course of my team's history. This is our 3rd week in competitive, so very happy to be back and had some very, very close games so far. Right now, I'm sitting at 2-1 with my loss being an overtime loss, which was just soul crushing. We didn't score any points in overtime until like the
Oof.
last 30 seconds. So that was a little
Yeah,
rough.
that's tough. I had one of those. I had one of those in my week where I went, I think like 2-12, and I lost in overtime, and it was just like,
Ugh.
throw your computer across the room mode. How is your G League team doing?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. So horrible, but not as bad to the point where I lost the bet that I proposed on last episode. We did not have another 40+ point loss game. Won some, lost some. I'm did not register my G League team this week. I'm thinking of maybe dissolving them to try and
Interesting.
recuperate some soul and really strengthen my main team now that I'm back up and competitive. So we'll see. They're
Interesting.
kind of sitting in limbo right now. I have some players that I really like that I kind of want to hang on to, but you
Sure.
want to take a step back and kind of do some bigger picture thinking about how all those different puzzle pieces fit
That's
together.
interesting. So originally, creating the G team was a move because I feel like, we were doing the same thing basically, right? We had extra players laying around that weren't being used. The box office came out. Maybe we wanted to try some new, archetype lineup sort of deals. But you're thinking you could sell the players and get stronger players for your new team or for your regular team, right? Which
Yeah,
you're in
that's kind of
competitive
what I'm
that
thinking,
makes
and
sense.
I'm trying to weigh the kind of cost benefit analysis on does it make sense to try and offload and get profits from one or two versus get those dimes
Yeah,
and then put those towards something in the box office. Which
sure.
big shout out to the team, better communication around the box office this week. What's coming? I'm liking the variety. I kind of like the 0.25 soul
Yeah, it's
entries. I
fun.
think it's fun. Yeah, exactly,
It is,
exactly.
and you know what? It's I noticed. I think it was what, like 100 entries for each of them or something, or 100 tickets. I mean, I
Yeah.
actually thought for a second, I was like, I forget who was in here last week saying like, should we just be ultra dirty? And I was sitting here with like, 100 plus dimes in my wallet, and I was like, should I just take over this drawing and just win 0.25? But I actually felt bad, and I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'll wait a little bit. I'm still holding out until maybe there's like a one or two soul drawing, and I can just kind of throw in like 25% of the tickets, and see what happens that way.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, there's a, that's something I really haven't looked at yet, but I want to do more of is just look at that. What is my potential benefit for per dime spent in a
Hmm.
drawing? I think
Sure.
there's something to be addressed or looked at there for
Exactly.
sure.
Yeah, it's hard to throw in 100%, 100 out of 100 dimes on 0.25 when a week ago like 50 could have probably won an entire soul
Yeah,
or more. So
absolutely. Let's dive into our first segment of the night, the tip off.
yeah,
What do you say to that?
let's do it.
So, two kind of big things want to cover tonight in the tip off. One, I like that, and I should have taken better advantage of this, or I could have, I guess, for my G League team. But we can now get VBA notifications in our email if we have an email attached to our account. So, do you have email set up? And did you get a notification? Did you see that come through?
I do have emails set up. I have not. I've seen them come through, but I have been just so busy with life. I honestly haven't been utilizing them as I should, I would say.
I gotcha. I gotcha. And I think it's just another, like, it's a small, what I like about it is that it's just a small update from the team and
Yeah,
one that helps keep us engaged, reminds us. You don't have to have it. It's not something you have to have on. You can turn off pretty easily, whether through just unsubscribing, ignoring it, or removing your email. But it's also something you'd have available to you.
absolutely.
Next thing I
Yeah,
want to talk, go ahead.
no, keep going.
Next thing I want to talk about tonight is big, exciting news coming up in the next few weeks here. We have an all-star game.
Yeah, we do.
So let's head over to the board. Let's take a look at this announcement associated with this all-star game.
Yes.
All right. So we have the blog up right here for those of you watching, but we'll also just kind of do a quick, brief overview. So nominations are underway. In fact, I think they're done in 45 minutes. Yeah. So get those in quickly. And then voting will be a combination of public vote on Twitter and a
Mhm.
vote from the GM selection committee.
Yes.
Each voting system will have an equal 50% weighted average that contributes to the selection of the All-Stars. 20 All-Stars will be selected to participate in 2 games. All-Star Game 1, Starter Showcase. All players are eligible. And All-Star Game 2, Special Underdog Showcase. Underdogs and special rarity only. And then there's a note to say, remember to expect a surprise announcement from Commissioner J2. So what are your thoughts on 20 players going to the All-Star Game and the separation between overall and then special underdog?
Yeah, I think it's cool. It's first of all, let's acknowledge that this is obviously the first All-Star week that they're doing, right? So, much like everything that this team does, they're kind of putting it out there. It's not, massive, right? It's not a full week of different games. It's not a game of every rarity, stuff like that. And because of that, I think it's great that they're doing the overall and then special and underdog, because I think I would make an assumption and a generalization that majority of the people who are actively playing or actively engaging are maybe not the big dogs who have teams full of rare and elite and legendary players, right? And it's kind of a nice thing to show off that underdogs and specials can be, I hate to say special, but can be special or important or incredible players as well. And I think that that's a good thing that is in there and is being included.
I agree. It seems to add more value towards the every type of player. It's not exclusive. You don't have to be, elite or a whale to have potentially say in this all-star game or be featured in this all-star game, which is really,
Yeah,
really cool.
yeah, and I could see it down the line getting to be more of an actual, thing where it's like, okay, we're doing this night is special. This night is underdog, rare. All of the rarities have their own games.
Hmm.
Uh, and that would be pretty cool to see, but I'm happy that they're not starting there. And I like the nominations and the way it's set up. I also, at the same time, I saw some really good feedback on it in the Discord and on Twitter. I forget who it was. Actually, I see Jason Wright in chat. I kind of feel like maybe it was Jason. Correct me if I'm wrong, but someone was saying in the future for All Star weekends, it would be cool if you could only nominate two players, right? And if one of them had to be another team, it couldn't be your own player.
I like that a
And
lot.
yeah, I think that's really cool. And that's a good way to, first of all, cut down on how many players are being nominated, but also to, probably like boost right from the get go the votes, because I'm sure then multiple people will be voting for the same player right from the get go or for nominating them.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
yeah, so I thought that was a really cool idea. And at the same time, I like what they're doing, right? I mean, I, look, like since they announced this, since the nominations have started on Twitter, I go through my feed. I'm seeing like 30, people a day who are specific VBA Twitter accounts, and I had never seen them before. And all of a sudden, my following has gone from like, 800 to like I follow like 200 people in the last week. I feel like it's pretty
Uh,
cool.
Love it. Love it. And yeah, it's nice to see community grow. And this is, we've talked about just game economies and what makes a game engaging. This is another great way and a different facet to engagement for VBA, which I think is really, really cool. So we had a question in chat, I believe, from Jason Wright. Did you nominate any players?
I did. I nominated two, uh, and I'm gonna go ahead and just, I nominated my own. There
Yeah.
was a moment where I did sit down and I was looking through, and I was gonna nominate other people's players. Right? I looked through a lot of players. I had a list of players to nominate. They were already nominated, and at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? Selfishly, it would be cool to have one of my own players nominated. And it's kind of one of those, I forget what it's called in like psychology, where it's like everybody is thinking no one else is going to do it, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And then you are the only one who kind of does it or whatever. So I nominated two of my players. The first one is ID number 6969.
Nice. Let me
Um,
pull that up here.
or 6961, sorry, but still nice.
Still nice.
And this is my special power forward center playmaking big creme brulee. Um, and I got this guy. I believe this was a SMUP player formerly, if I recall.
Yep.
With my team, you basically have a 50-50 chance if it was either SMUP or B-Town franchise player. And I nominated this guy because it's a playmaking big special. He's averaging a triple double, but not only is he averaging a triple double, he's averaging like a little above barely a triple double. And his stats overall are impressive, but for me right now through 34 games, he is averaging 15.1 assists.
Wow.
And sure, he has some games where he's under 10 points, but he has some crazy games for me. The other night he only had like 6 points and 13 assists, but a few nights before he had a triple double. I'm looking back now. Last week he put up 26 points, shooting 61%. He was 3 of 4 from the 3-point line, 87% from free throw. He had 10 rebounds and 14 assists. His turnovers are low. He gets some good blocks, some decent steals. Personal fouls are a little high, but for me, it was kind of like I want to nominate my own players, so this is one of them.
I think it's a great nomination. It's a fun player. I've enjoyed watching Creme Brulee play. I like it a lot. I like the triple double. And yeah, I mean, fouls, sure, maybe a little high, but you tend to see
Yeah,
that with the power forwards and centers. So
sure.
I think it's a really cool, really fun nomination. What was the other player you nominated?
Also, I just want to real quick shout out that Bamonte's in chat. I think it was him. Someone was tweeting to me about one of my other players, Studless Scruff. I'll have to go back and see. Maybe he'll make it to the next All Star game. My other player is ID 6621. This is an underdog, so I purposefully did nominate this player knowing that there was going to be like in the underdog specific. Actually, when I did it, I forgot that it was special an underdog, and I wanted to nominate my underdog. This dude is 22 points, 12 rebounds, 0.7 assists, 54.8 field goal for his career. That includes 18 games that were not on my team, right?
Wow.
But for my team, he's got 22 points. He's shooting 57.6 field goal. 12.5 rebounds and 0.6 assists. It's he's almost shooting 60%, and he's a post scoring big, so I had to throw him in there.
I like it. I like Lithus a lot. Another super fun player. Seems to be a bit of a rock for you in some of the games that we've talked about.
Absolutely, he's got some crazy games lately. He hit 31 the other night. He's had a few big ones recently.
I saw you mention it in chat, but I've got to bring it up. Jason Wright says, "Let's nominate Jesus to at least sit courtside. Maybe referee. Maybe referee.
Yeah, maybe water boy. Hey, he's doing good on my G team. He's had a few decent games lately. But at this point, I'm attached to him. There was that one show we had where I was like, I'm selling him. I threw him up for like, I think he was up for like an hour, and I got so much shit from everybody in the chat that I was like, fuck it, I'm taking him down, and he's with me for life now. But he's had some good games lately. I'm looking at him now. He's almost averaging 50% field goal. 22 points on my new team. Yeah, I'm ride or die for Jesus. Yeah, wine boy.
I like that. I like that. Well said, B-Town. Well said. Well, super exciting. Just kind of going back to the announcement here. So voting is going to start on the 22nd at 12 p.m. PST. GMs must tweet out their own vote card for the player with VBA, #VBA All-Star. Only post once. This should be posted by the GM of the player, not the GM who nominated the player if they're different. All retweets, 1.5 multiplier, and likes, 1 multiplier, will be aggregated as votes for the player. We will aggregate all the links to these vote card tweets in Discord for GMs to easily find. Voting will close at 6 p.m. PST, Wednesday, September 28th. How the GM committee vote will work? Oh, go ahead. Any thoughts on that?
I was going to say, I actually, I did mine wrong. I'm happy they counted it. I forgot to include the images. I think I'm going back now, but keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, you're totally fine. How the GM committee vote will work. The top 10 GMs, according to team ranking, as of the conclusion of week 13, will be given a ballot to fill out their selection of 5 players for each game. Their 5 selections must fulfill all preferred position slots and adhere to the eligibility rules for each game. When will selection announcements happen? The VBA League office will tally the votes and tweet out the selected players throughout the day on September 29th and 30th. Let's make sure those are all counted correctly. How the teams are divided after selections. The top 2 GMs, according to team ranking, as of conclusion of week 13, will be given the opportunity to serve as captains to draft lineups out of the selected All-Stars. We are partnering with Knights of Degen to host a special live stream draft for the All-Star lineups. Make sure to tune in for a special giveaway as well. Yeah. That will be Friday, September 30th, 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. EST. And links twitch.tv/Knights of Degen, and that's spelled KNIGHTS, and youtube.com/Knights of Degen. Prizes reminder: each GM of a selected all-star player will also receive an official commemorative Season 0 merch, premium embroidered crewneck sweatshirt just in time for fall. Size is limited, maximum of 1 per GM, must ship to North America or will receive equal value digital prize. An additional bonus: all GMs with a player on one of the winning teams will split a $200 US dollar prize pool. So very excited. They've got some fine print. I'll send the link in chat, but super exciting. Super exciting. B-Town's also going to be doing some coverage as well on this. So that whole week is going to be just absolutely huge.
And of course, let's might as well say, like, we get to stream the games, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome.
We will be streaming the games, going absolutely wild, I'm sure.
And I think next week, I believe Jeff is going to be joining us on stream. Hopefully, we'll be able to set that up to answer any more questions about the All-Star Week, and just to shoot the shit with us.
Absolutely. Before we move on to our next segment, chat, just want to remind you, if you have any questions for us, please hit us up. We will get to them at the end of the show tonight. Let's shift gears and go into our game of the week. I was a little selfish this week. I picked the game of the week, and it is my team, the Cream City Cosmos. This is our first competitive game of this week, and we played PGH, Thunder, and Lightning. And this game was wild. I wanted to vomit this whole time. I could not take everything that happened. So let's dive in. Let's look at the results.
Do you want to put the game link in chat?
Yeah, absolutely. Great suggestion. Anyone wants to follow along, it is game ID 85154. So it was a nail biter, 1 by 1 point. Looking at the game flow, kind of in parallel, the second quarter was not great for me. You can see I kind of flatlined there for a bit and spent the majority of the game, at least end of the second quarter and all the way through the very end of the fourth, trailing. So absolutely wild. A few things to talk about here in this game, speaking just to some of my players. Declan Dimes pretty much performed how I would expect him to. 17 assists. He's a pass first guard, just under 30% shooting. Nothing too crazy there. Blue Bomber, not bad, just under 50% shooting, which I don't think is too far off from an average from him. And we all just kind of hovered around 15, except for Wyndham Wallace. Had a very, very rough game against a rim protector who is Mr. Rogers 1SS, I believe is a rare elite. So going up against an elite player, ended up going 3 for 16. Not good, but still, managed to hold on with some free throws and make up for it in 15 with 15 rebounds, 3 blocks, and a steal. So, I said this last week on stream. I'm going to make you beat me. I'm going to make you outscore me.
Mm-hmm.
That's my game plan. And, yes, struggled against this rim protector here. But, the shooting percent wasn't too far off from each other. And ended up coming out with the victory. So super, super happy about that. When a player struggles, I try and make sure that they have at least some sort of redeeming factor or quality to make up for any lack of shooting percentage. Any thoughts you have on this game?
Yeah, this is, I didn't mean to interrupt you before, but how are you going to completely glance over that Declan has played 25 games with you and is averaging 18.2 assists? That's
Prospect, I lost your audio there. Hold on. Chat, let us know if you can still hear Prospect. Chat, let us know. Prospect did go silent. Okay. So, Prospect, we're going to re-add you in quick. Take a little break. All right, I'm going to send this over to you in Discord. One sec. Testing out some new features with Streamlabs this week. They just got this feature called Collab Cam, and it's been a little buggy, but we'll see what happens here. One sec, he will be right back. Just had to step out of the office. And yeah, Prospect, we still have no audio here. No big deal. We'll get this switched over super quick, chat. This is my nightmare. Give us 1 second. All right, chat, if you nominated someone for the All-Star game, let us know. Would love to look it up. It's good because he's allegedly practicing some karaoke right now. So we'll just go back. We'll use some older tech. We'll get him right in here. Not too worried. I like the team names and the Twitter handles on the cameras. Thank you, Jason Wright. Appreciate that a lot. Appreciate that a lot. There we go. He's coming back. He's coming back. All right. He is coming back. Do a quick little magic here. Chat, we will be right back.
Can anyone hear?
Yeah, I think we can. Oh, wait. Give me 1 sec. We'll get you in. Get you in.
How about now?
All right. There you are. All right, Prospect. You're back. You are back. We'll just drop you right in here. Perfect. All right, Prospect, go ahead and give us a mic check, please.
Mic check, audio. Can everyone hear me?
Awesome. Chat, we are back.
MJ, I'm getting a double audio from you, I think.
Okay. No worries. All right, Prospect's back. Chat, you hearing my audio okay? Or are you getting double as well?
Oh wait, I might be able to mute on my end. 1 minute.
Oh yeah, I think that's what it is. There we go. All right, chat, thank you for sticking with us.
Thank you for sticking with us.
That was quick fix, MJ. Good job.
We are
back.
I'm still coming through your audio, it sounds like.
It sounds good to me.
All right.
I muted you on video if it helps and it sounds good.
Okay.
Oh, everybody's getting slightly double audio.
Yeah, we'll scrap this. We'll get back to it. So, go ahead and give your thoughts on the game again for everyone.
I was just gonna say, I can't believe you totally glanced over. Declan Dimes has 25 games for you. He's averaging 18.2 assists. That's insane. How was he nominated for All-Star Week? That's crazy. I wonder what is the lead right now for assists? I guess maybe it's hard because a lot of the stats aren't by team, right? It's by career, and it looks like I'm on the M Young app right now, and it looks like hot potato, special pass first guard is averaging 20 assists a lifetime through 153 games. That is bonkers. And I'm looking now. I mean, yeah, he hits like 25 quite often. That's wild.
That's insane.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So
Right.
this double audio is killing me.
Double audio is killing me.
But yeah, he was played out of position and identified that, got him, put him into the point guard role. And then that's when he started really to blossom.
Yeah, that's right. Because he was only averaging 7.9 assists before your team, and that was through 80 games. Was he being played as a center? I mean, what was going on?
I forgot what his other position was, but it's I think it might have been shooting guard.
I just got booted from the stream. I can't hear anything.
Oh, you should be able to pull up my audio through video.
You should be able to pull up my audio through video.
Uh-oh.
We are having all sorts of technical difficulties. Chat, don't use new technology the day it's released. This is your warning.
Audio, MacBook Pro.
All right. So, game of the week.
I'm not hearing you on
Declan Dimes is. There we go. I think we're getting some feedback from you, Prospect. You should be able to hear me now.
Oh Lord, there we go.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. We're good.
We're good. We've got it all sorted now. So yeah, Declan, I think he's played as a shooting guard. He's killing it. He's a little better than Danny Dimes in terms of shooting efficiency, which I like. He's hovering right around 30%, but when Declan has a good game, we'll go ahead. We can click into his games right now. And what was he? 4 for 8 for 11, 3 of 9, 3 of 11, 2 for 3, 3 of 6, 3 of 11, 3 5, 2 6, 2 10. Right. Yeah, like this last game, which we ended up losing, but like he did brilliantly. 2 of 4 for 3, 4 of 8 overall. 1 of 2 free throw, 16, 21, 20, 25.
Yeah, and when you can find a pass first guard who has those high assists, but like more importantly, when those shot attempts are low, like, you know, you look at his field goals, he's got games where he's taken 3 shots, like 6 shots, 6, 5. Yeah, like that's good. I think that's what you want. 7 seasons of experience. That's a good player to hold on to.
Yeah. He's not quite burnt toast. He's darker toast. You know, slightly overcooked toast. But yeah, and he's an underdog. I mean, he performs well for being an underdog, and so I'm pretty happy with him.
And I just saw in chat, Chester was nominated by Jason. Was that Jason? Yeah. I'm looking at him now. It's a good post-scoring big. I love post-scoring bigs. I think they might be my favorite archetype. I have so many of them. They're fun. They get good shots. Usually a decent field goal percentage. If you can get them with low turnovers or low personal fouls, like that's what you want.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's about finding balance. Like you see these play styles, you see, okay, they're probably going to put up these kinds of numbers, but wait, here's one little thing that's different. And I really think that has helped me a lot in terms of like, okay, I've got this position and they're pretty standard, but they're really good at shooting threes, or they're really good at free throws, or they're really good at, you know, steals or blocks. And just those extra little things can really add up and make a difference. So think about my team kind of like a puzzle and just putting those different pieces together, whether that's, you know, type of shot they're going to take, who's getting the assists, who's going to block, who's, you know, and just fitting all those things together, I think really makes a big difference and a big deal.
Yeah, it does. Something I just noticed for the first time, uh, I'm seeing a game where a player had personal fouls, 7 personal fouls. Subconsciously, I had the thought, like, can they get over 5 fouls and, 6 fouls? And
Yeah,
I guess they can. I never thought about that.
interesting. I didn't think about that either. And I
Yeah,
wonder if that is something that I guess they can't fall out because there's no one
right.
interesting.
Yeah, it's just a little I don't have any thoughts on it. I think it should be that way. Um, if they can't come out of the game, they should be able to get more than 5, but, yeah, that's interesting.
All right. Now that we've got our audio sorted, thanks chat for that. You ready to move on to our free agent finds?
Yeah, I am. I hope mine are all still on market. Let's see. I
We'll
picked
start.
3 this week because I was prepped.
I like it. I like it. So my free agent find of the week is player ID 7128. Chat, if you want to follow along, I'll throw the link down here for you. And so 7128, again, not the cheapest, but there are so many things about this player that I just liked that really stood out that I wanted to kind of highlight. So 5 soul, again, not the cheapest, but it's a dual position special with 1 season of experience. Chat, 1. That's basically fresh baked bread right there.
Yeah, that's dough.
That's dough. Yeah, that you're getting dough with that, with 1 season of experience. Also, he just has brilliant hairdo. I like the style. Dual position special, 1 season of experience. Pretty good free throw shooter, about 60%. 3-point right around 30%. And field goal right around 45-46%. So, pretty efficient shooter. Getting an average 4.8 rebounds. I know it says 6.8 up here. I'm looking at more recent games and I have it split by position. So that's why the numbers you may be seeing up here are different than what I'm talking about right now, chat.
Sure.
But yeah, overall rebounds 6.8. And that's 7.2 when played as a small forward and 4.8 when played as a shooting guard. Steals are pretty much the same between both positions. Blocks not too far off, but I think just an overall quality player to kind of fit that piece of your lineup. It's dual position. You can flex between both. Shooting is pretty similar across both. I'd give a slight edge very slight, towards shooting guard in terms of 3-point percent and free throw percent.
Mhm.
But it's I just think it's a solid all around player that you're going to get a lot of longevity out of because it is dough, and it's just very well rounded, solid stat wise. Gonna get some assists,
Nice.
gonna get some rebounds, gonna get some points.
I like that.
What number are all 3 of yours still available, and which one are you picking?
I'm still looking at your guy. I'm like, this is good. I love the point forwards. I
Yeah.
actually almost chose a point forward as well. But I'm gonna switch it up and I'm going to go with player ID is 8732. And I looked at this week a little bit differently, right? I
Okay.
looked at this week from the standpoint of building a team from zero on a budget effective way. So I've said this before on stream, and I have the same thoughts in Zedron. In any game where there's an NFT that is bubble wrapped, right? I'm scared of bubble wrapped NFTs that have game utility. I don't like buying unplayed or undrafted, whatever we want to call them, free agents in this game.
You don't like that
Um,
rush?
it's a rush, but I am like, as much as I am a gambling man, that is like the one risk averse like or risk adversity that I do. Um, but this guy has 2 games, 25 points and 23 points, 47% and 58%, right? Um, and to me, this is good. The price there is probably around, honestly, maybe even cheaper than what the unplayed underdog slasher might go for. He's only single position, but I from my experience, I think these players can play out of position a little bit and still not go down too well. So you kind of know a little bit of potential there, right? Obviously, this could go downhill very fast. It is only 2 games, but I like what I'm seeing in those 2 games. Um, I'm seeing almost everything above average for the archetype that you would want to be point differentials above, free throw, field goal, true shooting, assists, turnovers are a little high,
Ooh,
personal fouls are good. But if you're building a team and you want someone who's getting points, there's a chance that the points you'd get out of this guy can kind of maybe offshoot the turnovers he's giving up. His first game was 8 turnovers, which obviously you don't want 8 turnovers. But if the average is a little bit closer to 3, which his second game had 3 turnovers, I would be okay with that. Slashers tend to have around 3 turnovers on average. So this to me looks like a good buy. It's 5 seasons of experience. His birthday is December 19th, which is very close to my birthday, so I like that. And
nice.
he's under a soul. He's only 0.79.
I love that price.
So yeah, I saw this and I was like, that's a good value buy. He's got 2.5 assists average right now, 3 rebounds average right now. So, you're not getting like 0 on each. And his free throws are good too. 3-point is not good, but again, it's only 2 games for now. So to me, this was a good find and a good buy.
I like it. I really like the value under a soul. It's kind of exciting in a way that it does have 2 games. That's got a little bit of the bubble wrap. Maybe some of the bubbles on the bubble wrap have popped,
Yeah.
but it's still there, and
Yep.
it could be fun. Yeah, if you're starting to build out a team, there's definitely something to be said about taking a chance on value. There's nothing wrong with trying that. You got to do what works best for you, your budget. Obviously, none of this is financial advice.
Absolutely. So here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Is there a number of games that so obviously, let me preface this by saying performance can change. You can, as we saw with Declan Dimes, he was being played out of position before you bought him, but we all know that a lineup can change a lot. A GM can change a lot for these players. Is there a number of games where you're like, okay, this player was played at this number and it was played in position, and maybe you look at some of the lineups he's been played with and they're decent lineups, right? He's got all the pieces there. What's the number of games where you're like, okay, this is around the data that you can expect moving forward?
So, assuming this is kind of like my, perfect scenario. They've played.
Yeah, and obviously this is an opinion too.
Yeah, yeah. Same team, same lineup. If they're playing in their correct position, obviously that helps. If not, I will try and do a comparison, just looking at the numbers of how many games are played not in their correct position versus their correct. And if that's, really out of whack, I'll kind of base the, if there are a lot of games played out of position versus very few in position, I'll try and bump up the out of position a little bit just to give an idea. And that's just all done mentally. There's no math behind that. I'm not that deep into it yet. But, given all of those scenarios, My target is about 28 to 32 games.
Yeah, love it.
But that being said, I will also kind of another way I've looked at players is I will look at, averages for what I expect a position and play style to be. In the case of, this player only 2 games, how are they comparing to what those averages could be? If I see they're higher than average on certain stats, I'm more likely to take a chance on them than someone else.
Yeah, sure. I like it. It's a good answer.
Anything else on Burn, your free agent find of the week?
No, I think we covered it.
What about you? Like, what do you have a certain amount of games? Is that something you look for? I want to throw that back
Yeah,
at you.
I think, for me, the first thing I do, um, is I usually ignore those stats that are up top. Like if we're looking at this page, I obviously I peek at the season zero stats, but the first thing I do is I go right to career averages. Because if the player has been on one team, everything's right there. But what's more important to me when I'm looking at these players is if I find a player, who's been on 5 teams and one of them, the stats are significantly different across the board and he has, 300 games or something like that, that means that there's a GM in that mix that either made it worse or on the opposite that made it bad. And I'm hoping to be on that side, the positive side of that. So that's what I do is I look at how many teams the player has been on, look at the change in the stats, and then what I'll do is I'll find the best stats within that or that I'm looking for specifically, whether it's points, field goal, whatever. I'll go to that team in the game log and I'll look at like the last 10 games and look for the outliers. I'll see the good and the bad, and then I'll look at the lineup. I'll look at all right, how many, what were the assists on the team that game? What was the shooting like? How were the turnovers? Things like that. But I will usually also I stick like 25 to 30. I think is a really good number for me to target as far as like okay, this player has great stats. It's around where I want it to be, and it has 25 to 30 games. Then I'm kind of like, okay, I know what to expect moving forward. And if it's good, hopefully my my team will support that. And if it's bad, hopefully I can improve that a little bit.
I like that. I really
Yeah,
like your approach of looking at the career averages
yeah. I'm
and
trying to.
doing, a comparison there. I think that's really, really smart. And you can really get
Yeah,
a lot from that.
right. It's an important thing to do. I mean, I have players who have improved, like 8% on their field goal or something from the previous team. So I think that's an important consideration because a lot of the time, and again, like I hate to bring him up again, but your boy Declan, like that's a great example of his assists were like 10 assists lower on his previous team. And granted, he was played out of position, but if I saw this player, listed on Magic Eden or whatever, and I went to look at it as a pass first guard, what is his overall assists right now? Let me just
10.4.
yeah, and he's averaging 18 for you. So like that's a big difference, and that's a really good reason and to support that. I think it's important to break it down and look at not only career averages but team averages.
Yeah, very, very, very smart. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love Declan. He's my guy. I love pass first guards in general. But
Mhm.
yeah, no, it really does make a big difference. You can make the argument he's not shooting as efficiently, but that's not why
Sure.
I got him.
Right. And I think with pass first guards, it's really hard to find the ones that are shooting efficiently. or aren't taking a lot of shots. I feel like the last time I looked, like 33%, I think was like from the data that we have the around average for the archetype.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's and then that's what I was looking for too. Is I wanted a pass first guard that was a more efficient shooter,
Mhm.
and he fit the bill.
I have a pass first guard who is on my G League team, who has been on a lot of teams, and he is averaging like 15 assists for me right now, and I'm just
Nice.
like loving him. Yeah,
Yeah, it's fun.
it is fun.
Speaking of teams and team building, let's jump to around the horn and talk about. I want to share with you and with chat my kind of team building profit loss sheet and just kind
Yeah.
of what I'm looking at, because I mentioned in our stream last week that is something I take into consideration. It's very much secondary, and it's honestly it's not even up to date yet, but
Sure.
I think it could be helpful. Some people in Discord have asked about it. I don't have a template available yet. Short term, I'd be more than happy to walk anyone through building this out and what that would look like. So please reach out to me at MJ Gaming Network on Twitter, drop a DM, and would be more than happy to reach out and help you put this together. But let's take a look at what I have here. So basically, it's just a Excel sheet. I put it up into Google Drive, and so we've got a few different columns here. First one being status, then team ID, because I have two teams, and also we'll get into why these columns are here a little later, but it'll help just kind of visually. The player ID, the name, the play style, the rarity, the position, the cost, an estimated break even. I've basically added 7% to the cost. And then revenue. So if it's highlighted, that means it's sold, and then profit and percent of profit. So, and then on the right, just kind of some high level number of items sold, 6, percent of profit, 31.17%. Total costs, I'm 35.2 sold in between all things VBA related, including a empty pack, which I used for a reroll, and players for both teams. Total revenue off sold 4.6, and profit loss down 30.5 sold, just about. And so basically, when I buy a player or put them up, I'll update the status to for sale, sold, etc. And then on the right here, I have my pivot table of basically who's active, who's available for sale, and who's sold, and just kind of breaking that down. So I can see very clearly now here, I have 10 active players, I have 3 up for sale, and I have 6 that have sold. Here's the cost associated with those, break even, profit, and percent of profit. So if I click now into my active, and we'll click out of that because that's being annoying, you see my 2 team IDs. So now I can get a breakdown of both teams. So, one team cost me 11.71 soul, another team cost me 14.4 soul to put together. And then I can click in again and see the individual positions. And again, how much am I spending at each position? And then click into the position, I can see the rarity and the play style and go across. So it allows me to just at a glance, super high level, see, okay, what have I put into this team? This is my main team. Cost of 11.71 soul. Not bad.
Yeah.
You see what I have for sale here. I see I have 1 power forward, 1 point guard, 1 dual position, kind of what their prices are listed at, and then sold. So I have that broken down into, hey, players sold from team 2225, which is Cream City Cosmos. I've sold 4 players. And then ecosystem. So if we go back over here, you can see I have here under team ID listed as ecosystem. And there I have, box office winnings. So cost was 0, profit of 1 soul, 100%, and then a player reroll from a pack, and that was just 1, cost of 0.78, and again 100% loss there. So it just very high level allows me to see how are my teams doing, what is their cost, what have I made back, should I list players, do I need to list players, what kind of support, just how am I doing, am I just dumping soul into VBA, or am I being smart, or hopefully smarter, about the decisions that I'm making? So again, chat, if you have questions, I could absolutely help you, put something like this together. A lot of these are automated calculations. So for example, number of items sold looks at column A, looks for the word sold. Then if that's true, then it grabs everything from column J. If there's nothing there, it returns a 0, and all those crazy complex calculations. I'd be more than happy to help you with that. So please reach out. But it's another aspect to VBA. It's something that for me is fun, helps keep me in check, and hopefully will help with my, GM capabilities, because at the end of the day, GM should be managing their team.
Yeah.
Exactly, Jason. A real GM mode. That's kind of the inspiration for it. Any thoughts on this prospect?
So many numbers.
Prospect, did we lose your audio again? Hold on.
Oh no.
We didn't even switch. We didn't even switch anything.
No.
All right, so I've got you here. Let's check out your audio settings.
Hello.
Everything is true there. Super quiet. Prospect, go ahead and talk.
Can anyone hear me?
Let's get your audio up.
Oh Lord.
Chat, can you hear me any better? Go ahead.
Hello? Is anyone getting me?
You coming through a little bit. It's quiet. Give me 2 seconds. Let's run this. What is going on with Streamlabs after this update? Oh, here we go. Let's see.
I think MJ is just messing with me.
Yeah, no, you're good now. You're good. We can hear it. Okay.
Yeah. Woo! I was just saying that all these numbers make me want to throw up, but it looks great.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I know you're not a huge numbers guy. But
no,
yeah.
but this is important, and it's something I have started to do on my own, not nearly as intense as this. But yeah, it's important to know these numbers. You got to know what you're putting into a game and what you're getting out of it. I think, as we've said before, there's a lot of reasons people play the game. And I have plenty of projects that I'm in that my main goal is to make money. And this is not one of those. So that's important to recognize. I saw a question in chat.
Yeah.
We have 2. We got to go back to B Towns. But Lamontes is asking, do you think VBA will ever have sustainable opportunity to earn to justify the prices, around 1K for a legendary player? I think we're on the way, but I don't think it's going to be as, I'll say, like, traditional as we're expecting. MJ's got the box office pulled up, and this is an incredible start to that. I think the barrier will mostly be like the funding, like how are they going to get the continuous soul to put in the box office? I know they've got a ton of soul for season 0. Who knows what the future will hold? But I think the utility for the dimes is great, and I think that this is a game for serious basketball fans. And I don't, again, like, I hope we get those results from that survey we did, because I would love to see how many people answered they're in this to make money. I think maybe it'll get more steady, but I don't think that it will ever get to the point where it's like, hey, you can get you can earn ROI real quick in, like 3 months or something like that. I don't know. I like the box office. I love where it's heading.
I I think right now that player prices are not justified. I think they are way too high, especially for higher rarities.
Yeah.
I think it's, for the stat changes and increases, yes, on average they're better, but I think it's just way too high right now. I think the premium's just a little much. Um but that being said, it would be cool to see other opportunities to make both for VBA to make as well as players. Just an idea that came to mind. You were talking about the box office and everything that came in from season 0. Well, what if for each season there was a player release? A limited amount of
Yeah.
players. So then, okay, you have the problem of player inflation, but what if you could burn players for dimes?
Mm,
And that could help control population. That gets people involved
yeah.
in the box office. And, maybe you spent, like I did, my G League team spent 14 soul on them. Maybe I burn them for dimes and use that as an entry into getting a few soul back. And that's not necessarily a winning solution, or is it a perfect solution? But I think it's something that's interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that could also, again, help stabilize the market a little bit. It
Sure.
might drive some things up, might drive some things down, but just kind of an interesting thought that I had. Good question, Pamontes. I really like that a lot.
Yeah, that's good. The original MJ, I don't even know the answer to this. You might, if not, someone in chat, I'm sure does. Um, the original packs, how many players were in them? Was it 7?
Mm-hmm.
They were full. So 7 was full.
Yep.
And how much was a pack mint? Was it 7?
No, I think it was like a 1.5 soul or something.
Oh, that's great. Okay. I thought it was a lot higher than that for some reason.
Yeah, I think it was pretty cheap. Maybe 2 soul. I could be wrong. Chat, if you know,
Yeah.
please let us know.
Yeah, I'm curious. That's great though. Yeah. I was gonna say, like, what would the average player say, like, cost based on that? Obviously there's rarity, there's skill, there's so many factors, but I was just curious. I guess it was
Charmander
one.
said it's on the podcast with KOD. Oh, okay, nice.
Cool. Yeah, I was just curious. Numbers. That was a good question though.
Yeah, I think it's over time. I think player price will go down, especially if there
Yeah.
isn't a way to earn a lot off of it. But if there's a good counterbalance, I think that could be kind of fun.
Definitely.
You said we had another question in a chat. Do you have that pulled up by chance?
B-Town asked, how often are we playing? Oh, wait, did I make this up? Oh, yeah. How often are you guys playing defensive players, and what kind of success do we have? And then followed up with, how often are you moving guys between wallets to get optimal matchups? So for me, I have 2 teams. And I would say I have one defensive player on each team, and by defensive player, I mean like defensive guard. I'm not talking about, the little bit of defense you can get from a slasher.
Sure.
So I have 2. One of them, if you want to pull up MJ,
Yeah.
is player ID. Where'd he go? 1601. And this guy is on my G League team.
Okay.
Chaz Sky, because if you look at him, he looks like his name is Chaz Sky.
He's such a Chaz.
He is a huge Chaz. He's even got that Chaz smirk. So, B-Town, I just want to answer on that too. Your question, like, Slashers had a little bit of defense like a few weeks ago. Wasn't there that adjustment that we got from that?
I believe, yeah, there was a
Um,
change to slashers. I'm not sure what it was off the top of my head, but yeah, I do remember them being a little more defensive focused.
Yeah, and I 100% could be wrong on this. But just to answer the question, like I would say this is my defensive player on the team. Obviously, he's a defensive guard, and I play him almost every game, basically because I only have 7 players on this team, and I do like having him in there just to kind of see like I'm trying to collect some data on it and see what I can get out of it. Um, I just went through while MJ was chatting before over his tool or his sheet, and I looked at the last 10 games. Out of the last 10 games with this player, I would say 1, 2, 3, 4. I had 4 games where the opponent was held to like I think it was like 5 or more points under their average, which is something I would like to see in a defensive player. That sort of like balance update or whatever you want to call it, where there's more of an impact for them. And I know the team has said there is something coming in the future for defensive guards. Hopefully that does happen. So it's not as much as I would like, but I do play this guy almost every game on this team. But I don't necessarily get what I really would want out of it. He's kind of playing just because like that's what I have for this team. And then my other player is, I mean, you don't even have to pull him up, MJ, but his ID is 8348. He's only played I've only played him 2 games, but one of the reasons I did get him is because his point differential that I was seeing before I bought him was really good, where like he actually was holding players to significantly under their averages. And out of the 2 games that I've played him, he did that in one of them. Again, I just don't play him that often because I am having success outside of the cash league. I am having success not playing them. And maybe that's coincidental to a degree. There's a lot of factors, but I'm more confident with my other players in the lineup who are going to get me points. And it's kind of like MJ, you were saying with your squad, where it's like I'm going to make you outshoot me. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But for me, more often than not, that has been working. So that would be my answer to that. I don't have anything against defensive guards necessarily. It's just for me with my lineups lately, I haven't really felt the need to play them.
So in my main team, I don't have any defensive players currently. And I haven't played any in at least a few weeks. I may have 1 or 2 on my G League team. Nothing's coming to mind off the top of my head. And so my kind of strategy is to basically look at, again, going back to the puzzle analogy, which I feel like I love for all NFT games, but to see, okay, what gaps do I have in terms of finding efficient players that can play well together. I mentioned I really like using pass first guard, at least as a point guard. And my kind of movement and promotion between both of those teams was the way it structured it was my G League team was kind of my feeder. And so player that I saw maybe was good value or showing early promise across some games, played them into my G League team, which at one point in time had a similar makeup to my main team, but maybe just lesser of players. There were some differences there. But then if that player did well, I'd push them up and say, okay, can you compete at a higher level? How well do you fit into the scheme, into the system? And, some players I had pushed down, I moved back up, vice versa, until I kind of got to where I was really happy last week. And that ended up, and actually, no, it was like 2 or 3 games into last week is kind of where I settled on my lineup. So now what I'm looking to do is then supplement or kind of swap if needed. Instead of going kind of a defensive mindset, say, okay, well, if my pass first guard point guard maybe doesn't have what could be a good matchup coming up, maybe I'm going to change them with someone who's super efficient and but I've got to make up for those assists that I'm taking off the table elsewhere. So, if I'm swapping out, 1-for-1, where does that swap make sense? So instead of looking at defensive players right now, I'm not saying that I won't ever. I'm really kind of focusing on just optimization, role optimization, and performance optimization of my individual players. What was the other part of that question? I just want to make sure I hit all of it. Oh, how often are you moving players between wallets? Not so much for optimal matchups, but again, just for, hey, you've earned your spot on the top team. You're getting moved up.
Yeah, I have to do that. I have plans to do some of that tonight, hopefully for tonight's game. If I have time after this, if not tomorrow. But yeah, I really haven't done that much aside from like the initial moving. Also, I just want to back up and say the comment about slashes and defense. I was operating under the assumption that they did have a slight defensive impact, but 100% could be wrong. I don't know where or why I was thinking that. If anybody knows anything on that, please let me know so that I can adjust my my opinions as I need to.
I'll pull something up here quick for us for the slashers just to see how they've been doing. So, they've actually been kind of flat. 0.17. Yeah, they've actually been pretty stable from what I'm seeing. So I thought the same thing as well, but I guess I was wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we incepted that into each other's heads.
We must have. We absolutely must have.
Yeah.
Oh wait, hold on. Let me change one thing here. Yeah, no, I think we incepted ourselves. Yeah. So, great question, B-Town. Thank you. I appreciate that. How often are you using defense and kind of rotating B-Town? I'd be curious to hear that, or anyone else in chat for that matter. Yeah, please feel free to let us know. Do we have any other questions in chat, Prospect?
I don't think so. I was trying to track. That seemed to be it from most people.
Nice. How are you feeling about the week ahead? And kind of what are your team's plans?
I'm good. I'm kind of at this point right now where like I've had some really good. I don't think I'm gonna go back into Cash League just yet. I've just been I got rocked in the 2 weeks in Cash League that I did, and now with the box office, I don't know. It's like I'm good with the dimes and holding out for good stuff in the box office. Hopefully, getting some soul out of that. But yeah, I'm feeling good with my lineups. Like last week, I had a really good week. The week before that, when I was in free, I had a good week. I think. Yeah, it is early as Bemonte said in chat too, like with the switch up. So hopefully I'll have another top week. I'm like 200-ish away from being in competitive. So like I think I might just kind of grind in free until I can get there. Another thing I was gonna point to is I have also put a significant amount of soul into this, as many people have, without really getting much out of it, which I am okay with. But because I'm having success in the free for now with the players I have, I think I'm going to kind of halt my purchase search. I was looking for a rim protector or a stretch big for a while. I think I'm going to kind of wait until I have that white whale.
Mhm.
right? Like wait for the player that I'm like, oh, that's the player I want, instead of kind of rushing into one. And yeah, we'll see when that happens. But feeling good about my team. So yeah, that's where I'm at. What about you?
Nice. I'm, moving up into competitive now, kind of doing a wait and see. Like I said, I was, looking to potentially not dissolve my team, but, sell off some of those players to reinforce my G League, to reinforce my main team. And so just kind of want to see where things fall. I might take this week a little bit more slowly in terms of just action, moving players, buying players, just to kind of see how things pan out. And then next week, really look to, how can I best support? What does that look like? What are kind of some of my team needs? And work on getting in some players for rotation.
Nice. I'm excited to see where that goes, and hopefully the dissolving of the G League team for you can get you some big guns for your A team, your A squad. I also real quick just want to back up to the defensive chat. I was about to answer in chat to Jason's comment saying, B Town's episode last week about defense was great, and it was. And that episode had me hunting for rim protectors after. I was like, I gotta get it. And I I just kind of want to say, like, I 100% understand the importance of having defensive players in your lineup, right? And the importance of playing them and the impact that they can have on your team and against the other team. And by no means was my answer to the question before trying to say like defensive players don't matter, because they do.
100%.
It's just that for me right now, I haven't really needed them. Now, maybe that's the reason that I'm getting absolutely shit on in cash leagues against these higher quality teams. Like maybe if I did have a really good rim protector and I could shut down other players more often, that might make the world of difference for my team. But for right now, I'm just going to kind of ride this wave and see how far I can go until I find that white whale for my team, which admittedly will most definitely probably be a rim protector, because that's what I've kind of been hunting for a while. I didn't want to rush into it. So when that time comes, and I need the defensive player, it will definitely be a rim protector. And maybe that's the point that I'll enter back into cash league to kind of see what difference that makes against the quality teams.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, chat. I'm not seeing anything else in terms of questions. Thank you all for tuning in. Again, you can listen to us at anchor.fm/VBA-live. I want to give a special shout out. 90% of our listeners to our podcast. First of all, we hit 10 listens, so congratulations to us.
Nice.
And 90% of our listeners come from the US. Not terribly surprising. 10% Latvia. Big shout out. If you're listening from Latvia, please reach out to us in some capacity, whether it's on Discord, Twitch, or Twitter. I would like to personally thank you. Wonder who you are. But so awesome that we have a listener from Latvia. And then one closing note. The winner from last week's giveaway, Tasty Gamer Boy, has yet to claim their prize. So Tasty Gamer Boy DM'd you from MJ Gaming Network's Twitter account. Haven't responded yet. We're going to give you one more week before you to claim this player. If you do not claim this player within a week, we are going to re-roll that essentially and give that player out again. So you've got until next Wednesday, Tasty Gamer Boy. Please reach out to us. We'd love to give you this player. But if not, that's all right. It will go to someone else. We will have a bonus round. Thank you, Prospect. Tonight was awesome. Thank you for sticking through all of the issues with our audio tonight. Chat, thank you also for sticking around. Appreciate you. We'll be back next week for for another episode of VBA Live with better audio quality. I promise.